The date is June 12th. It's a Sunday, 7:52 in the morning. I'm feeling this morning. And this is the Board State. We are a podcast YouTube streaming service now about gaming for social good and game development for social good. My name is Jeffrey Vieira, aka Mr. V, and I'm joined with, as always, my buddy across the island, the beautiful coast of Waianae. Who are you, sir?
Ciao, Jack.
That was like
that's
waking me up.
that's always gonna be my thing, you know.
That's all good. Man, it's good coffee. Okay. So so we thought we wouldn't be able to record this morning. We managed to figure it out and make the time. And the reason is, and I just want to do a little bit of a shout out here, is because we are launching an ARG, which is an alternative reality game. It will be launched by the time you hear this. And all you got to do to join is go to facebook.com /groups/808 ARG, Jack. Is that right? Or ARG
Yes.
808?
808 ARG is all caps /about/ and it should take you to the site.
Okay. So yeah, and then you can just answer a couple of questions, jump in, and take it from there. We're not going to say anything else about it because that actually takes away from the mystique. But just know that it's it's an ARG, and the duration of the ARG is going to be 3 months, and we got a really cool prize for the winner who figures it all out. All right. Now our show, the Board State, what we do is we parse the internet for articles that we feel are making a positive impact in game design and gaming, and we put it in a Google Doc and we bring it to you for your enjoyment and listening. So the first article today is going to be from npr.org. As you would imagine, as a bearded coffee drinking gamer, this is an article that this is a site that I frequent quite a lot, NPR. And the title is A Look into the Wild Economy of Tabletop Board Game Funding. What do you think about this article, Jack?
It's a must read, to be honest. To understand the ever growing and the ever changing ideas and concepts of the industry, especially now, and how Kickstarters and other things may apply, you even if you already know it, it's good to reevaluate and continue to take new ideas, like how we continue to mention, because if you don't reevaluate, then you'll become stagnant, and with that, you will just have a decline. If you keep on improving and keep on reading these new ideas, even though they seem to say the same message, maybe this article will have a new idea or concept that other articles haven't. And that's what this one is. It's basically taking more modern day information of recent games like Dark Souls, Arcane Gods of Egypt, and Cthulhu Death May Die. These games have been big and have sold a lot of copies already, but there was not really that much like depth into and details. This article provides that with a lot more, especially for the Kickstarter avenue.
Yeah. Yeah. In 2009, fans pledged more than $176 million towards tabletop game, which, according to Polygon, was a 6.8% increase over the previous year. According to Kickstarter data gathered by Polygon, in all, more than 1 million people pledged to games on that site a year. And yeah, so you've covered this perfectly. It is really looking at Kickstarter as a vehicle to get your game funded. And I've been in some group discussions with small agile game development teams, and they were looking at Kickstarter to fund their things. And some of the things that we talk about is how difficult it really is to to launch something on Kickstarter and then manage the logistics
Mm-hmm.
for getting your game into your customers' hands. And there's now, I don't remember any right now, but there's, you can just look it up on Google or DuckDuckGo. Let's not plug Google. Let's start changing the paradigm of what we use. But there is some third-party companies that handle the logistics for you, and so you can just focus on making the game and publishing the game, and then just answering questions and updates. But I know that in like 2008, 2019, I think more in 2018. It's early. I'm sorry. In 2018. A lot of large companies were using Kickstarter not just for funding, but as like the marketing vehicle. Because if something, the especially tabletop gamers are looking at Kickstarter almost constantly. Or this is again, I'm talking about pre-COVID, post-COVID. Things are all up in the air right now. We'll see where that goes, but pre-COVID, we were looking at Kickstarter daily, and there were sites like KickTrack, that's with a Q, would aggregate the top 20 Kickstarters that are, that have the most hype surrounding it, so that you could see at a glance what you should be purchasing, quote unquote. So Kickstarter is something that should not be ignored. Is definitely an option if larger companies are also using it as just a marketing vehicle. That means that there's a lot of eyes looking at Kickstarter. So in this article specifically, they look at the games that Jack was mentioning, but also there's an emphasis on Frosthaven, which is Isaac Childress's latest Gloomhaven title, and how much it broke a bunch of records and made a whole bunch of money. And Gloomhaven, of course, is even being sold in Target right now, so it's a new mass market game. Yeah, that's something to be said. We live in a world where we can go to like a department store and find Gloomhaven.
Yeah,
I mean, that's cool. That's fantastic. It just really shows you where the industry is going for a purchaser from Target to be like, yeah, we want Gloomhaven here.
So,
but so I mean, it's really a look at Kickstarter, the pros and cons pre and post COVID, and at exploring that as a means to fund your project.
But keep in mind, as much as positives and negatives you will find on Kickstarter, because there is some negatives to Kickstarter, it will always come down to you as the game developer. You do not have to go with Kickstarter. You could gain sponsors or gain business loans. There's a multitude of options. This is just one of your options you may want to do. And try not to cut any of your options outright, but have an open mind with all of them, no matter how bad or how good it may seem.
Yeah, I also kind of wish they didn't put a Settlers of Catan. Yeah.
We just lost half of our viewership.
Such a hip. No, come on. Yeah, okay. Such a hipster. So that is a look into the wild economy of tabletop board game funding on NPR. All right, next article. Hey, we got a Gamasutra one again. This is by Gamasutra.com, and it is the importance of humility as a game developer. Your thoughts on this article, Jack?
Nobody say getting into anything is going to be easy, and nobody say making something that you love is going to be lovely all the time. This article really demonstrates when you reach heights to take the hits, take the low blows, and keep going. Because this article may be applying to right now because of The Last of Us, but this could be applied any time during your gaming career, whether you're working for EA and they made a bad game. Now you're being called out and being like saying, "Oh, why do you help make this horrible of a game?" Or you don't have enough um leeway and don't have enough time as an indie dev, so you make this game, but it's not to people's expectations. All of these things will always come up to you, whether you're indie dev, AAA dev, across the board. And so this article really helps out and really allow you to see like on all sides on how to take the toxicity, how to handle all of these
Mm-hmm.
negative things that inevitably as a game developer or doing anything concerning gaming that you will have to go through, whether that be economic reasons or fame reasons. These
Yep.
things will continue to happen and will continue to go. So this is another key read, but it will allow you to like even if you don't want to go into gaming, you could take several elements of this article and apply it to construction because say you have a boss and you don't want he's giving you beep. So that means you need several elements of this article could be applied to that. It doesn't have to just apply to gaming. You okay, Mr. V?
Yes, yeah,
It,
yes. It's
it looks like I hit
how is this
enough.
construction? It's like this construction boss. It's like, anyway, no, let's not go down there. Okay, so yes, the byline, what's underscored in this article is humility, right? And humility is something that we should carry, not just in game design, but in everything that we do, and how to take feedback on things that you you do. So in game design, right, that's something that a lot of game designers have a really hard time wrapping their heads around is how to take criticism. But really, you should be kind of like almost like a Buddhist Zen monk, right? Like rolling with the punches, right? Is this
Hmm.
article really? Yeah, I mean you hit it right on the head. This article really looks at designers and how to accept feedback and become like water. Like Bruce Lee says, become like water. I don't know. Bruce Lee wasn't British, so I can't give a British voice. But how to let toxic behavior roll off your back, and also understanding that no game is perfect. No game is perfect. I have my opinions on that. I believe Kingdom Death Monster is perfect, but no other game is perfect. And that's part of the design process, right? When you make your game, you've got you've got a really good prototype to go out and do some beta testing with the public, and you may get some really what you would feel would be some harsh criticism, like
Hmm.
how long did you take making this game? This part feels so clunky, or you just really have to separate yourself from the product that you're making, and that's hard because, like, especially in the indie world, right? The indie world, that game is probably everything, right? Like
Hmm.
I've talked to some designers where like this game is their golden ticket. They're trying to cash in on this game, not just to buy a mansion, but to pay rent slash buying food post production. Because they've put everything on the line for this game. So that's really rough. That's really rough. But I think that's a skill that can be worked on, like, I mean, acquired and worked on, is separating yourself from your product, and in this case, your game.
Hmm.
Yep. All right. So that is by the Gamma Sutra guys. Who wrote this one? Josh Beiser. Um, yeah, Gamma Sutra, man. What would we do without the importance of
Basically.
humility? Importance of humility as a game designer. Okay. Next article, we're going to jump into a time machine and see what gaming will look like in 2030, according to HaroldPlanet.com. and a bunch of really important game developers, gaming companies. What is your thoughts on this article, Jack?
You know, it showcases just high speed theories in all sense. What I mean by high speed theories, it's like something you will see off of like, okay, I'm planning an operation. Here's one of the scenarios that could go down, and here's 50 more scenarios that could go down after this one scenario. That's what I mean by high speed. And so it honestly is a read that you will find interesting because it may not affect other industries like game or shooter or the article before that, but it showcases all these new concepts and ideas that is most likely going to lead down even to more ideas and more technologies being expanded throughout other industries. So even if like half of these theories, and most likely half of these theories are incorrect or wrong in some way, it will still showcase a new idea and a new concept in which people could exploit and use upon for good. One of the key things is like AI advancement will alternate gaming without extinguish. Personally, I'd rather have more AI, more smaller AI in gaming, not in overall. I have mixed opinions on that, but in gaming, yeah, because it is showcasing new difficulties and challenges that players will have to deal with. Reason why I'm so interested in Cyberpunk 2077, it really because of the how they present the AI and the artificial intelligence. And yes, you could exploit games, and yes, that will still be a thing. But having all these new concepts just living revealing itself to you will allow you to be like, okay, let's add 2 layers of difficulty for the exploits. But yeah.
Yeah, so this article, the foundation of it is IG had requested a group of gaming industry, self-proclaimed prophets to foretell what gaming would look like in 2020, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they did that. And then what the Herald Planet did was then get a larger group and try to make that forecast of what things would look like, in 20 years, in 2020, 2030. And there are definitely some things that stood out to me. Some of these are pretty obvious, but these are the heavy, heavy hitters in the gaming industry. So a few things that stood out to me was streaming will be mainstream. It's pretty obvious. J. Allen Brack, who's from Blizzard Entertainment, he made this comment, which I thought was kind of funny. Was he made a comment about mobile gaming and how important mobile gaming is?
Oh
And
my god.
yeah, it's like adding insult to injury, bro. Uh, yeah, I was like, okay. So there's going to be an end to the console wars, which yeah, I can kind of see that, and then maybe a unified gaming ecosystem platform that we still haven't really seen, like a one system to rule them all kind of thing. But really, I mean, how do you predict, right? How do you predict what's really going to happen in 10 years? It'd be hard to forecast in the 90s, or actually the late 90s for this, forecast that we would be playing type of games that we can play on our phones, right? Like what? It doesn't make any sense. Like why would we play games on our phone? We use phone to talk to people. Like why would we play games on that? Or music on our phones, for rather. So we don't really know. But I think a lot of these are safe bets that you could. I mean, that you could bet on. But let me just drop some names here. We got like the co-founder of Insurrection Games, that's a League of Legends. Pokemon Go, the head developer for Pokemon Go. Wow, the producer of Monster Hunter. Wow, again, I mean, these are like the Hall of Fame home run hitter guys. So it's a cool look. It also gives you window into what they're looking at investing in, because especially with these large AAA companies, they
Mm-hmm.
forecast years out, right? So whatever they want to come out in 2024, they're already laying the seeds and the foundations for
So
that to happen.
I may want to add one last thing. It's the unknown future will against us. Because even if they plan and plan, and with all of these predictions, it's just reinstating that fact. Like, there's three notable figures, like the person who made Bayonetta, of them boards, and Automata, all agree that yeah, we can't. Even though all of these are coming from the experts in our field, we can't be predicted.
Yeah. The other thing that they did, I was just going to close with, the only thing that I think is going to be a big thing, and I'm hoping it will, and it has to, and it must, is a sector of the industry that we're seeing become. I mean, we actually see it becoming more and more and more prevalent, and more a thing in the indie realm. But I'm not really seeing it too much in AAA, but definitely in tabletop, and that is indigenous board game design. And what I mean by that is looking at an indigenous culture and some of the ideology and concepts and historical heroes and legends of that culture, and then putting them into a game while at the same time respecting that culture. I don't think that's being done enough. I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we really wrap our games around. But yeah, so I think that is still a large marketing segment that is completely open right now, um, both lucratively and spiritually fulfilled.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. All
Okay.
right. That was a little PSA there. So that is the heraldplanet.com. What gaming, what will gaming and gaming expertise be treasured? What will gaming and gaming expertise be treasured by 2030? All right. Next article is by the SciPost. I love that. Love that URL. SciPost.
Mm-hmm.
SciPost, which is excessive gaming linked to increased risk of carrying a gun in school. Dun dun dun. But the opposite is true of moderate gaming. What is this article about, Jack?
So it's really demonstrating the culture shift from basically gaming bad, nobody should play it. Being a active better. But no, it really is showcasing that whole mindset and switching that up.
That was really good. Athlete better, gaming nerdy.
But yeah, and
Absolutely right.
you know, we will continue to state that you should find articles that support both sides of the argument, no matter how bad either or are. And so this is one that really showcased the middle ground, because though this study do state that the studies before it has some merits, it also states that other studies that come out recently also has their merits. Basically, being that checker of sorts. And if you're going into the theories on game design or theories on how basically psyche and psychologically game developers will have to deal with, this actually showcase a real good um, evidence for how could a game affect your psychology exactly, and not really why should governments control games or why should governments be less restrictive of games, but just giving game devs a new way, a new outlook of how to understand player movement and how to use that in gameplay, whether that be game ball gaming, video gaming, ARGs, whatever that may be, mobile gaming even.
Man,
And
this is a gem,
mhm.
dude. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. I thought you were done. My bad.
And it takes all of this and just throw and give it into bite-sized information so both farmers to high execs could go onto this article and be like, yeah, I understand that. And it could be applied to any other industry as well, because it showcases a really good desire and need for articles like this for the, for example, agriculture or even climate change. Just like these high topics to really simplify it, in my opinion. But yeah.
This I think is going to be my article for the day. This is a gem, and this is a study where so they cite several papers, but mainly this is coming from the computers and human behavior, and it's showcasing that yeah, video games don't really lead to like ding 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 ding, alert. Um, it's just another without getting too political, just how facts matter, right? That like science and data and information like that like really matter, and how media news networks can really color how we view things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah, man. Thank you. This I forgot to mention. This was a Jack find, so this is really really good. And this is again excessive gaming linked to increased risk of carrying a gun in school, but the opposite is true of moderate gaming. The side post. All right, last article today is going to be by the Irish News, IE, Irish Tech News. That's my Irish accent there.
Don't do that before we get a bomb from the always. We should take that out. Should we restart? Like,
That's fine. We'll leave it in. It's totally okay. Oh, Jack. Okay. Which is by the Irish Tech News, and I love this logo that they have of like this green earth. It's very very cool, and it is titled "Vela Games: A Story of Success in Dublin's Thriving Gaming Sector." What is this article about, Jack?
so it's really talking about how basically you could find one company becoming leading effort for an entire country. We saw this most recently with CD Projekt Red and Poland, and how their efforts changed Poland. And now we're starting to see that exact same thing, but now in Ireland. And so those the CEOs of the company are from America. The company itself, by being in Ireland, we provides all Irish devs and all Irish game developers like a flag to go under. Like how CD Projekt Red became like a mantle, a champion that Polish devs could now held up and fight off the EA or Sony. Now Ireland will have that, and we will keep on seeing more and more of these companies coming from roots and from devs, from Triple Edge to indie, forming to basically make champions for countries of their own. It's inevitable, and that's the main reason why I wanted to showcase this article, because it really showcased the idea of both pride of a nation but also pride of oneself and one's culture, because it's allowing game developers to really showcase all of their cultures, but not through companies like EA will it will make a profit and change the core concepts.
I always pick on EA. Companies like EA.
I mean, I could say a lot more things about EA, but I'm not saying that.
Okay. Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of lectures and reading a great deal about diversity in culture and the benefits for diversity of culture of late. And there's this concept of what is it? Cognitive diversity. So this is this term where if you have a mixed race, mixed thought, mix people in a room, that innovation can then happen, right? Like if you have like the same type of people in the room, then you kind of get the same process. I mean, that's very, very obvious. If you get the same kind of, like if you have like all gamers in a room and you just make a game, like the game will probably be cool, but you're not really innovating, right? It's very difficult to innovate from that place. And there's all these studies where they had, I think it was, 800 or 800,000. There's a bunch of people across the spectrum
Mm-hmm.
that made a guess on how much like gumballs or marbles were in a jar, and they found that the further out they got with the diverse people answering that question, the more accurate they got to how much. And there wasn't really a point of diminishing returns. When they got more diverse people looking at the jar and making a guess, on the whole, we were wiser, right? So that's this concept called wisdom of crowds. So how does that relate to this article? Because at a macro level, you want Indonesian designers, you want um, Guatemalan designers, you want native Hawaiian designers, you want, people from Aotearoa making games, because as a whole, right, the
Mm-hmm.
industry will really evolve if, rather than all the games just coming out of the US, Japan, US, Asia slash London, right? So very much so with, like, you mentioned Poland, and they're my gosh, those guys, they're making huge strides, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so too in Ireland, I think is a great step forward for this company as well. But what a thought that occurred to me is, I think maybe even more so in video games, but actually maybe in the indie scene, that's why we see so much innovation. It's not just because of how agile they are in terms of development, but how diverse indie developer is. And in fact, same thing with board games. Board games is such a diverse market. I never really have thought about it before, but there is such a diverse array of designers, where they're from, their cultural and educational backgrounds, that you really see just innovation, like pure, unadulterated, uncaged innovation in the board gaming space, as a reflection of, like I mentioned, that cognitive diversity with the designers. So yeah, man, more power to Irish lads here. I will open up a can of Guinness in respect to them. I haven't had Guinness in a while. Guinness is
Well, and
so lovely.
another thing is
Yes. Mhm.
it also showcased another way Ireland, because many people has like a stigma about Ireland, whether that be of Irish drunk or ginger, whatever that may be. But this allows them to really showcase more than that, and more of their Gaelic culture and how that formed, and
Yeah.
all of their histories that we don't get showcased in the
Well,
media that much.
actually, I know for a fact that, much like India, I think it was 10 years ago, Ireland really invested in IT tech
Mm-hmm.
culture. Like they initiated all these like programs and things like that. So they became like these leaders, or at the forefront of like help desk initiatives and like IT related tech stuff in Ireland as well. And that's what you got to do, right? You got to cut all those stereotypes, look at what lucrative market that they could move towards for both social and economic capital, and then have a culture and
Mm-hmm.
embrace it in the correct way.
Yeah,
All right.
and yeah, but the
Okay.
same the Irish news say.
Yeah, and also Irish Tech News. This is a really cool site. Okay, so that is the IrishTechNews.com. Vela Games, good luck to them. I wish them all the best. A story of success in Dublin's thriving gaming sector. Okay, so that's going to do it for the article of the week. We have a question of the week, and what it is we are running dry. I think we got two more questions left. So please send your questions, concerns,
or
comments
it,
to Jack.
the board state at mail.com. Wait,
Say that one
that's
more
it.
time. I'm sorry, I got some interference. Could you say that once
The
more?
the board state at gmail.com.
Beautiful.
I was
Beautiful.
so
Beautiful.
tempted to say theory crafters. So
No,
do
no,
not.
still, still, don't say it. Just don't say it. It could be even more. Theboardstate@gmail.com. Please send us your questions. Okay.
No. So, or you will find that I will have to make one.
Okay. So let's go on to our questions again. And this was sent to us by Karen, and the question reads, "Thank you for taking my question. I use play therapy as a means of helping teenagers cope with depression. My question is, I'm looking at building a board game around Maslow's hierarchy of needs. How could I go about incorporating these motivational factors into my game?" So let me just start with covering what Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs are. This is a very well well known at this point pyramid of needs, but that'll kind of just frame our answers. So I'll describe what the Maslow hierarchy of needs is, and then Jack will answer the question, then I'll answer the question. So the Maslow's hierarchy of needs is really these things that we need in our lives as a human race that I think maybe is a little. I mean, it's not dated, but I think it should be modified, especially now post-COVID. I've been thinking about this, and it's things that we need fulfilled before we can do anything else. So like before playing video games or before playing board games, well, the board game should actually be at the bottom of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Excuse me, but I mean these are lists of things that we need done in our lives to be a functional human being. So the first one is, I just googled it and screenshotted it here. The first one is psychological needs. Okay, excuse me, physiological needs: food, water, warmth, rest. Okay, like we need that. It was the bottom part of the pyramid here. Secondly is safety needs, right? Security and safety, which is something that a lot of us feel are being disrupted in this time. So that is a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's a Maslow's tier that's getting hit. Belongingness and love needs, intimate relationship and friends, social needs, right? This is something that also is very, 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 very important. Esteem needs, prestige and feeling of accomplishment. Absolutely. If you're not doing stuff, you're dying. And then finally, on the top of the pyramid is self-actualization, achieving one's full potential as a human being. So that is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. These are the things that need to be fulfilled for us to be a human and a contributing member to society. Jack, your thoughts on this question?
So basically, there are several ways you could go at this, but the two main ways that found really successful, at least for down here in the West Coast, was the first way is how we actually did the depression game, and it's basically getting actual students involved with the project day one and getting them to basically let their stories out, but in a safe environment and in a fun environment. So that way, the game you have not only showcase the ideals of the students in your area, but really showcase the ideals that generations may have, but only now gets to visualize into this game. That's one way you could do it. Another way, which is more successful in like a broad sense, is basically finding common traits or ideals and basically showcasing it as like a general ball. For example, when elementary school in Nanakudi here has a Namea Vai, basically a rule slash conduct that all of the students follow and wants to inspire by, but in an equal form. And these rules are hoihi, respect, kuiana, responsibility, malama, safety and care, ha'a, humility, lokahi, unity, homia, perseverance. These ideals and concepts are really like traits and things that everybody could get by about, but realize that if you put too much in one area, you will become a lesser person or a lesser being. So that's the main reason why they have it all as like though separately in all of it makes the non-male vibe. And you could find those same traits in whatever area you are, whether that be in Texas, whether that be in New York, or in the Middle East.
Pause just for a second. Beep. When we're done recording, please remind me to talk to you about a possible game idea. Go ahead.
Okay. And it's really going to showcase the ideals and all of the values of not just your own community, but yourself. Because by making a game that is inspired by the Maslow hierarchy, but turning it into something that wherever you are from or the current place that you are located, it really showcases your own personal pride and showcasing your love of the community or your love of your teaching. No matter how, it could even be worst case scenario. The game is unplayable. Just by you making it, really showcase to your students, like, yeah, I understand, or yeah, I could get where you all come from. So, but you need to get students' involvement. That's one of the key things about this. No matter which way you go, A or B, students are the key and the root. And in your case, you should really get at least 4 students of different classes. One could be like from the upper side, one could be middle side, and one could be lower side. And this doesn't mean like economic wise. It could also mean grade wise. One could be having straight A's. One could have C's and B's. Another could have F's and D's. Showcasing different ideas and concepts from different people and backgrounds.
All right.
But yeah.
What am I supposed to say now?
Say thank you, Jack.
No. Yes. Everything that Jack said times 2. First of all, Karen, thank you for doing what you're doing. That is super awesome. I was actually exploring play therapy as a certificate, which still look into that at a later date. But that's awesome. You're using play therapy. Hopefully, you're playing some games of note with your teenagers, not the Catans of the world. But yeah, building a board game around Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That is so. Will Wright's. Everybody knows Will Wright is. If you don't know who Will Wright is, he is the maker of The Sims and he made a bunch of other games, SimCity, SimLife, all those Sims. And he specifically uses Maslow's hierarchy of needs in the game. A lot of what happens in the sim models what happens outside or models the world in which the game is being played in, right? And with some caveats, which he like when the humans talk to each other in the game, they have their own kind of like language, like the Charlie Brown, which, from what I recall, was put into the game so that you wouldn't hear the humans saying the same thing over and over again. It was a way to kind of mask procedurally generated like text or like repeated text over and over that would take away from the immersive experience of the game, which is something that Animal Crossing has done as well. That's something that they've borrowed from The Sims. but yeah, fantastic. I think this is a really good model to base your game on, but also just to reflect what Jack is saying. If you want to build a game that is going to be played with your client or these teenagers that you're giving treatment to, then you want them to be your playtesters, and or get input on the game's design and structure. Very, 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 very important. Maybe find a teenager that can do some art for your game, no matter how weird or abstract it is. You can kind of put it into the game. So yeah, so specifically to answer your question, each pillar can be mechanics or achievements that the player would have to fulfill in the game. And there's a lot of examples like this. In the board game, it says In Pursuit of Happiness comes to mind, which is a very, very good game. Fantastic game on the need of play and rest and exploration and managing like relationships and things like that and not burning yourself out. So that's kind of a good model to look at. But yeah, just use if you wanted to incorporate Maslow's hierarchy of needs specifically, you could use those as kind of pegs and milestones for players to achieve and work towards, to kind of usher you into like different phases of the games or achievements of the game, if you wanted to use Maslow's hierarchy needs specifically. But you could also just pick I mean, you don't have to actually use all of these. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiers of Maslow's hierarchy, or you could meld them into kind of like one overarching concept to use in your game and to inject as like a motivational factor. I just did a short talk last week on motivation in gaming, and it's still very, very fresh in my mind, which is why I was like so happy to put this question in the show notes. I can talk about this at length. But one of there's so many things about motivation and gaming beyond just gaining levels, right, Jack? You know, that's such an older model to use, right? Like I kill stuff, I get experience points, I get stronger. Like I mean, it's very, I mean, it works, but it's just very old and tried and true model. But
as time goes on, newer and newer models will continue to come up, and even heck, you could even make your own model and make your own pad. Nobody's saying that you can't make your own pad right now, especially because concepts like these are very much not hit by like high-end game developers, because they see it as like, oh, why should we even do that? So by tackling this concept, you may find a different model that more and more game developers will actually strive to follow.
So what I was gonna say was,
sorry about that, Mr. V.
No, all good, man, all good. Is that motivation in gameplay mirrors motivation outside of gameplay. So you can look into motivational factors that happen outside. For example, there's this idea of the motivation myth that we move towards goals, to achieve a goal, when actually we should focus on developing systems to help us move towards the goal, right? So there's all these outside of gaming motivational factors that drive us to do behavior. There's a book that came out called Hooked that I highly recommend, that was originally meant as a weapon against Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and used as a way to like become aware of these motivational triggers that they're putting into your mind, into your brain. But it can be used as like sort of like a defense against the dark arts class, right? Like you can use this as a book to become aware of what they're doing to you, but also to use these things for good, right? So if these good behaviors and good habits that you want them to start to learn, that you can use these same intrinsic, extrinsic, motivational factors to help you. So that's a little bit of long form, very long, lengthy, exhaustive answer. But you can shoot me an email. I'm happy to help out. You can just use the theboardstate@gmail.com. And then, I mean, I'm happy to just jump. You pay me at all. Like I'll jump on a call with you, but I'm happy to collaborate and contribute any way that I can with your game.
This is how politics began. Okay, shoot.
Okay. So I'm happy to help out any way I can. All right. So thank you, Karen, and that is gonna do it for our show. Any closing comments, Jack?
Yes, if you have any comments, concerns, or even questions, and you don't want to use the email, you could type it up on the comment sections of either the YouTube or the podcast. Right? There's a comment section on.
Yes. I was really afraid of where you're gonna go with this. I was like, what is he talking about now? You don't want to use the email. Like, you can use our home address. Like, Jack, what are you doing? Yes, please. Comments in YouTube work as well.
And just keep the discussion civil and have fun.
All right. That's going to do it. Thank you all. Have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you. Or we'll record another one of these, talk to you. Yeah, so like somehow we're having a back and forth dialogue. We'll talk to you in a week. Thanks.